Hi and welcome to another Dex from the Graphic Design School. My name is Leanne and today we're going to be doing part 2 of our identity project. We started with the logo last week, Tropic Spa and Wellness, and really worked on creating that engraved effect on the design elements in the background. So last week we did 3 different kinds of leaves and the butterfly, filled in with color, and we used this engraving effect. So if you haven't given it a go, try Dex number 23. Or you're welcome to use any design elements. You might have some illustrations or even photographic elements. You just need 2 or 3, maybe even 4 to create a wallpaper effect. So what we're going to be doing is using the 3 leaves we've got and the butterfly and creating a pattern in Photoshop and then applying them to mockups. So the reason why we're going to do the pattern in Photoshop, you can do your pattern in Illustrator using a different method. But today we're going to be doing it in Photoshop because we're using photographic and Photoshop layered mockups. We're going to be doing the bag, applying our wallpaper to the bag, applying it to packaging as well as our logo. These packs are supplied in the brief. So I'd like to credit Anthony Boyd Graphics for this pack. And for the bag we just saw, and for this wallpaper, come from Graphic River. So there are links in the brief where you can download these lovely free layered PSD mockups and you can apply your pattern too. So the first thing we're going to do is hop into Photoshop, and there's our bag mockup as it will appear. That is the Graphic River bag. So fortunately for me, and the reason why I chose it, is it has this lovely leaf in the front that kind of matches my logo. Here are the different leaves and butterfly that we created last week. So on their own they're quite unremarkable, but in a pattern they can look really cool, and you can see this engraved effect we've got going through here. So these are all in one layer with a transparent background at the moment. So we're going to be creating the wallpaper first and then applying it to the bag. So to make it easier for yourself, if you're going to use an image multiple times or you're going to use it for some other identity pieces, is to drag these images into your library. So I'm going to click onto my library and then I'm just going to take this leaf image, pop it in there, and you can call it big leaf. So then I can close that image. This one, I'm going to call it spiky leaf. And then I can close that image. I'll just call this thin leaf. So as I said, you can use any images you have, illustrations, photographs, just to try this method on. Call this butterfly. So it's just about how to create a continuous pattern in Photoshop, so you can apply it to any mock-up background that you like. So there's our bag mock-up. But before we get to that, we're going to create our pattern. So I'm going to create a new document, so Command N or File New, and I'm going to make it quite big, 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels, 3000 pixels per inch, and just keep it RGB because I'm working in RGB, and go Create. So I like to make it quite big because I'm going to be using it on a wallpaper, so quite big surfaces and big mock-ups. We can close it up and go to Layers, and the first layer we're going to create is a solid color fill. My solid color fill is a really pale yellow. If you did the Dex number 23, you'd know it's a 10% yellow. So I'm just going to fill it with 10% yellow, and then I'm going to start to drag in my different elements in my design. So I can open up my library. And the first leaf I used is this kind of spiky leaf. But my background image, I used it as much lighter than it actually is. So I'm just going to take it down to about 40 to multiply. I might even take it down a little bit lower. Let's try 20. So I wanted to just kind of be a little bit of a background element to begin with. And I'm just going to start to scale it down. So to free transform, just go Command T and you'll get a transform ability around your image. And I'm just going to start to scale it down. You can always move it around. What I'm going to do is group these spiky leaves once I've got a few going into one folder. So hold down your Option Alt and then I can copy that and then go Command T. I'm going to rotate it, scale it down, hold down your Shift to scale down in proportion. Maybe rotate it a little bit more. And then hold down my Option, click on my image, and just drag another one. And then I'm going to Command T to free transform it and rotate it a little bit. I'm going to go back to this first one and just make it a little bit smaller too. Maybe let's just do one or two more. Hold down your Option Alt, drag another leaf, Command T, rotate it, scale it down, and maybe we'll just do one more over here. Command T, rotate it around. Maybe move this one up a little bit. I think that'll do for now. So I'm going to group these in one folder. So my spiky leaf right at the top and my spiky leaf at the bottom. I'm just going to click on my folder to create one folder, and I'll just call it spiky leaves. And then I'm going to do my next layer. So I'll go over here. Let's do our thin leaf. And I'll just scale it down. Free transform, rotate it. Important thing to note, if we're creating a pattern, make sure that you don't have anything bleeding off the edge for now. We'll be creating that in a moment. If you have anything bleeding off the edge, it's going to make it difficult to create your pattern, but we will get to that, as that is part of creating the pattern, is being able to bleed things off the edge, but I'll show you in a moment how to do that. So just scale down, rotate, and as I said, you can go back and change it, because as we create all the different layers, you might find something that works better, and you might want to switch things around a bit. Maybe just one more here. Command T to free transform, and just wait for the rotation tool to happen. And there we go. And then again, I'm going to group those in one folder and call it thin leaves. And let's get to our next leaf. Is we're going to do some of the spiky one again, but this time we're going to keep it at 100% opacity. Command T. And I'm going to do the big leaves last, because they're kind of like the main feature and the most obvious thing. Oh, actually, we'll do the butterflies last, but that's only because they sit right on top. So don't worry too much about your pattern right now. It'll all start to make sense in a moment once you start breaking this up so that you can create your pattern. And as I said, remember, whoops, don't let anything bleed off the edge for now. And we'll just do one more over here. Command T, scale it down, rotate it. There we go. And then we'll group that and we'll call it spiky leaves 2. Then we're going to get our big leaves. So go back to your library, drag a leaf in. And you might notice this leaf isn't the most perfect drawing, but that's the beauty of creating a pattern. It doesn't have to be 100% stunningly illustrated. That is just all together in the pattern it just works well. Just going to have about 4 leaves, I think, here, because they are quite big and dominant. Here we go, and maybe just a little more. So you might go back and change some of the other leaves, move them around, let them take up some more space. I'm just going to group those together there under big leaf. And then I think I might move some of my spiky leaves here. So maybe just move that a little bit. Those are okay. My thin leaves, I think in the top corner here, I just want to rotate this one a little bit. So you've got some different angles happening, and maybe drag one down here. And that'll do for now. And then finally, we're going to bring some butterflies in. So just drag your butterfly right to the top, scale it down, move it, free transform, Command T, and rotate wherever you would like it to be. Have another one on the top here. And again, just remember, don't let it bleed off the top. And I think let's just do 2 more. Hold on Option Alt to copy that layer, so the one layer stays, and then you can drag and create a new layer, Command T to transform that. I think I just want this butterfly. Turn a little bit, and let's do one more down here. And when we work with the pattern, we can add some more butterflies in a moment, and you will see how we do that. So of course we need to save this document after all this work. So let's go Command S to save, and I'm going to call it Tropics Wallpaper. And I'm going to put it in stages, stage 1, so that if I ever want to go back to a stage, I can go back to that. So I'm going to group those butterflies in one folder too, call that butterflies, and save that. So now we have all our layers, and you can fiddle around with this to make it work for yourself, but it's not a complete pattern yet anyway. What we need to do now is to group all these layers here. So I'm going to group them. So hold down your Shift and just click on your color fill, and then I'm going to merge these layers. Merge layers. Let's do a file save as, and wallpaper stage 2. So now we've merged all of them. The next thing we need to do is make sure that we get some guides in. So go New Guide. We're going to do a horizontal guide at 50%. And go OK. So guide will go through the middle, and then do another guide, View, New Guide, vertical 50%, and go OK. So you have a guide going straight through the middle, both sides, chopping it into 4 pieces. We're now going to use our selection tool. So you can start out off the format, off the artwork, and just drag down until you get onto that middle line, and then go Command X to cut it and paste it back in. What we're going to do is take the bottom one here that is remaining. So that's what we've just pasted. You can just click that off for now. Take that one there, and we're just going to drag it to the top until it clicks into place, and then take that one, and we're going to drag it down. Oops, let's make sure we've got it switched on. There we go. And then you can just go Command with your semicolon just to have a look and check that there's no white lines there. Perfect. And then we're going to merge that down. Again, switch on your guides, go Command plus, and then get your rectangular marquee tool again and drag it from outside the format, so you make sure that you're getting every corner. Go down the center so you can see it goes a little bit pink when I know I'm on the guide, and then Command X to cut it out, and Command paste. And just click it off for now. Take the bottom layer again, and then we're going to move it across to the left. And then we're going to take this layer, layer 1, oops, and drag it across. Let's just switch back out so we can have a look. There's no white lines, so that's looking pretty good. So now you can sort of start to see how it's going to work. We're just going to add some more detail into the center here, so you can merge those two layers, and we can drag some more leaves in here. Maybe some blue ones. And again, while you're placing these, make sure that you don't bleed anything off the edge, because then again it's going to mess with the pattern. We've already done the bleeding off bits. You can change the layers here a little bit so you can have things coming out. Just going to have another one here. Maybe some more leaves. One of these. Scale it down. Command T to rotate it. And there we go. You scale it down a little bit more, so you can start to see how your pattern will work, and you maybe want to scale down a few things. If something really doesn't work for you, you can go back to one of your other stages and manipulate the sizes or the placement of some elements. But I think this is working pretty well at the moment. I'm just going to do a smaller one here. Careful not to bleed anything off the edge. Scale it down. And there we go. So there's our pattern complete. So I'm going to just save this as stage 3. And then I'm going to group all of those. Hold on your shift key, select all of them, merge the layers, and this is what will create our pattern. Oops, I think I want to add some more butterflies. I forgot about that. So maybe just add a butterfly here. Maybe nice to add a biggish one here. Rotate it, scale it, and a tiny one up here. Accidentally duplicated that twice. Butterfly over here. Come on, T. Smaller one. There we go. And merge that all together. Come on, save. And there we have our pattern. So now what we can do is define our pattern. So with that all on one layer, we're going to go to Edit and define pattern. So I'm going to call it Tropics Wallpaper New, because I have a few saved in there already, and just go OK. And then just to test it, you can click off there, go to your background, and then you can select all and layer, new layer fill, so you can just see what the pattern looks like. Go to pattern and it should select the last one we did, go OK. And then you can see your pattern there. I have some other patterns, but it's the last one. So whatever you have in your pattern palette, it would be the last one you created. And then you can see what the pattern looks like when you scale it down. So look, oh, it looks pretty seamless by scaling it up. So there you go. So that you know that your pattern is working, there are no lines coming through, and then you can go, okay. So we've got our pattern saved. So now we can go on to adding it to our mockups. So make sure that if you want to save this as your final stage pattern, let's go final stage. I mean, you could do this all in layers. I just like to do it in stages so that it's all quite clear and I don't have too many layers going on. And just go save. There we go. So in a moment, we'll hop into our mockups and see how we can apply these beautiful wallpaper designs to our mockups. Great. Now that you have your pattern saved, we're going to apply it to our bag mockup. So open up your bag. It'll have this lovely brown background, grey background. I have added this so that it matches my other mockup. Your mockup should come with this beautiful pink background. So pretty cool anyway, but I wanted to match my packaging background, so I'm going to make it grey. And if you haven't worked with mockups before, just look for the smart layer. Here you'll see a little icon, thumbnail icon in the bottom of the right hand corner, and it will very conveniently tell you your design here. So double click on this and you'll see this bag mockup. So, and it's got a folder that says replace. So you can just go and add a new layer on top of that and go select all, and then we're going to go layer, new full layer, and we're going to go pattern, and we should get our pattern that we created. You have got a scale here, so you can scale it up or scale it down so it's smaller. So get it to what works for you. I might scale it up a little bit. Oh, it's sitting at 100%. Maybe let's go to about 89–90%, and then go OK. I also want to have my logo here, so I'm just going to drag my layers out, and then I have got my logo saved into my library over here, so I can just drag it in and it will appear. Put that back into my panels, and I can scale it down and size it as I like. Scale it down a little bit more. And my smart object here has got a, or rather my library object has got a drop shadow. If you want to add a drop shadow, you can. You can also always add some extra elements to that. So maybe you want to add a butterfly to the top of your logo. You can do that too. I'm going to scale it down just to give it a bit more of a 3D feel. T. And then from your layers palette, you can also add a drop shadow if you want to give it more of a sense of dimension. And you can preview it over here, make it a little bit bigger, 6, 16. You can take down the opacity. I would have it on multiply as the blend mode, and maybe a sort of black or dark grey colour, and just go OK. And then we're pretty happy with that. Go Command Save. So you're saving your rectangle, and then it should appear on your bag. So there we have our bag, really quick and simple. We're going to save that, and then of course you can do a save as a JPEG. We're going to add the same design now to our wallpaper. So I'm going to open up my wallpaper. So I have my mockups over here, my wall mockup, so we can see what it looks like, kind of smaller and as a wallpaper. So over here, again, we've got these smart layers, smart objects, so I can double click on there, select all, layer, new layer fill, go pattern, it should select my last one, and then we can make it a little bit smaller, go OK, save that. And then we'll have our pattern as a wallpaper, which looks pretty cool as a wallpaper. And then we can save that again and do a save as if you want to save a JPEG. And then lastly, we're going to add it to our pack. So you'll notice this pack mockup has got a lovely brass looking label over here and lid. So if you open up stuff, you can see there's the foil there. So you can always remove the foil from the label if you like, and just have a nice solid fill. But I quite like it. So if we double click on box design, it'll give us this, and we can just select all and delete it, and select all and layer, new layer fill pattern, and then we can again just select our pattern. If it selects the wrong pattern, you can just select another pattern. So that's another pattern I have from your menu over here, and that should be good. And then you can again play around with the scale. Maybe you want it really small for this, and then go OK. We want to put on our logo maybe, so we go to our library and scroll down to find your logo, and then you can just scale it up or down, whatever suits. We want to measure that it's in the center, and then go save, and then it should appear on our box. And it hasn't appeared on our box because we've got it on the foil covering it. So you can just take the foil off. So if you want it on top of the foil, just click that layer on. That's just above it, above the stuff. And then our bottle design, we can double click over here. It's got this black logo. So I'm just going to select all, delete it, and then go to my library, drag my logo in there, scale it up, save that. You can go in and you can see it's applied this full effect. Now with my particular logo, the full effect is quite dark. So I'm going to go to my full layer, which is in the stuff layer folder, and I'm just going to take the opacity down a little bit, and you can see my logo a little bit more clearly. And then once you're happy with how it appears, you can see this logo is not centered. You can go on and center and refine your design, save that, and do your save as. But there we go. We have our packaging. We have our wall mock-up with our wallpaper, and that is our pattern. And then we have our bag saved with our logo and adding in a little bit more detail into the front to give it a lovely 3D effect and dimension. So now it's your turn. Go for it. Create a lovely pattern using 2, 3, or 4 design elements. They can be illustrations or photographs, as long as they're isolated on a transparent background. Create your pattern and then apply to one of the 3 mock-ups in the brief, or any mock-up that you choose. And feel free to load it up so we can have a look at your amazing design. That's all from Decks for today. From me, Leanne. Goodbye.